Hello. You're watching Global English Stories, where stories come to life and help you learn English naturally. Listen, enjoy, and start your learning journey.
Let's dive into the life of a person who changed the face of modern politics, shocked the media, and came back stronger than ever. His name is Donald Trump, a man loved by millions and criticized by millions more. Whether you support him or not, his story is full of drama, power, and unexpected turns. This is not just the story of a man. It's the story of fame, failure, power, and persistence. Stay with us as we explore the journey of Donald Trump, one of the most talked about figures in the world. Part 1. Early Life and Business Rise. Donald Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York City. He was the fourth of 5 children in a wealthy family. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer. Fred built houses and apartment buildings for middle-class families, especially in Brooklyn and Queens. Donald's mother, Mary Ann, was born in Scotland and came to America when she was young. She was quiet and religious, while Fred was strict and focused on business. Together, they raised their children with strong values and big dreams. From a young age, Donald showed he was different. He was full of energy and confidence. He liked to win and hated to lose. He sometimes got into trouble at school because he was loud and aggressive. When he was 13 years old, his parents sent him to the New York Military Academy. They hoped the strict rules and discipline would help him. At the academy, Donald became more focused. He played sports, became a student leader, and learned to work hard. But he also learned how to be tough and competitive. After finishing high school, Donald went to Fordham University for 2 years. Then he transferred to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Wharton had a strong business program, and Donald studied economics there. He graduated in 1968. Many years later, he often said he went to one of the best schools in the world. He liked to remind people that he was smart and well-educated. While he was still in college, Donald started working with his father. Fred taught him how to manage buildings, deal with tenants, and talk to bankers. Fred was careful with money. He built simple homes and stayed away from risky deals. But Donald had a different style. He wanted to go big. He dreamed of building tall towers, luxury hotels, and famous landmarks in Manhattan. He liked the spotlight and wanted to make his name known around the world. In the 1970s, Donald took charge of a project in Cincinnati, Ohio. He fixed a failing apartment complex and turned it around. That success gave him confidence. Soon after, he moved into Manhattan's real estate market. It was a bold move. Manhattan was expensive and competitive, but Donald wanted to stand out. One of his first big projects was the Grand Hyatt Hotel near Grand Central Station. The area was old and in bad shape, but Donald saw potential. He made a deal with the city and a bank to rebuild the hotel. The project was a big success and brought him fame in New York. People started noticing the young businessman with big ideas. In the 1980s, Donald built Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. It was a tall glass building with gold details and a fancy design. The tower became a symbol of his style, luxury, power, and attention. It had shops, offices, and his own living space. Celebrities, rich people, and tourists visited Trump Tower. It became the heart of his business empire. Donald loved being in the news. He gave interviews, appeared in magazines, and always talked about winning. He said that thinking big was the only way to succeed. He didn't want to be just another businessman. He wanted to be the best. He also started using his name as a brand. Trump was no longer just a last name. It became a sign of wealth and success. He started buying casinos in Atlantic City. He opened Trump Plaza, Trump Castle, and the Trump Taj Mahal. The buildings were big and flashy, but they were also expensive to run. He also bought an airline, a football team, and even tried to start a board game. Some projects made money, but others lost millions. In the early 1990s, Trump faced big problems. His businesses had borrowed too much money. The real estate market crashed, and his casinos were in debt. Trump was no longer seen as a genius. Many people thought he would lose everything. But he didn't give up. He made deals with banks, reduced his debts, and slowly recovered. He used media and TV interviews to show that he was still strong. Trump's personal life was also in the spotlight. In 1977, he married Ivana, a model and businesswoman from Czechoslovakia. They had 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric. Ivana helped him run the business and manage some of his hotels. But in the early 1990s, their marriage ended in a very public divorce. The media followed every detail. It was messy, but it also made Trump even more famous. Later, he married Marla Maples, an actress. They had 1 daughter, Tiffany. That marriage also ended in divorce. In 2005, he married Melania, a model from Slovenia. They had 1 son together, Baron. Trump's family often appeared in the news, especially his children from his first marriage. They later played big roles in his business and political life. Even with ups and downs, Trump kept building. He wrote books like The Art of the Deal, where he shared his business ideas and success tips. He always said that confidence, bold thinking, and never giving up were the keys to winning. He believed in showing strength, being direct, and staying in control. By the early 2000s, Donald Trump was not just a businessman. He was a celebrity. His name was on buildings, clothes, water bottles, and more. He had created an image of wealth and power that millions recognized. He had lost and won many times, but he never stopped moving forward. This part of Donald Trump's life, his childhood, education, family, and rise in business, shaped everything that came later. He learned how to deal with people, how to take risks, and how to stay in the spotlight. He became someone who could not be ignored. Part 2, Fame, The Apprentice, and Media Influence. After building Trump Tower and becoming a known businessman in New York, Donald Trump was not satisfied. He didn't just want success in real estate. He wanted to be famous. In the 1980s and 1990s, Trump became a public figure. He showed up in newspapers, magazines, and TV interviews. He talked about money, success, and winning. He liked attention and knew how to stay in the spotlight. He said, "If you're not being talked about, you're not important." This thinking became a big part of his life. Trump often used the media to build his image. He acted like everything he touched turned to gold. Even when his businesses were in trouble, he found a way to talk about them as big ideas. He made people believe he was still on top. This helped him stay in the public eye during good times and bad. In 2004, Trump got an offer that changed his life. NBC asked him to host a reality TV show called The Apprentice. It was a business competition where people tried to impress Trump with their skills. Each week, one person was sent home with Trump's famous words, "You're fired." The show became a huge hit. It ran for many seasons and was watched by millions of people in the U.S. and around the world. The Apprentice made Trump a global celebrity. Viewers saw him as a strong leader, a rich businessman, and a smart decision-maker. His office, his suits, and his serious face became part of the show's image. Many people who didn't follow real estate now knew who Donald Trump was. For some fans, he looked like the perfect example of success. But not everyone believed the image. Some people said the show was only entertainment. They said it didn't show the real Trump or the real problems in his business. But for Trump, it didn't matter. The important thing was that millions of people were talking about him. He knew how to turn fame into power. During this time, Trump also became very active on social media. When Twitter became popular, he started using it to share his thoughts. He tweeted about business, politics, celebrities, and world events. His tweets were often bold, short, and full of strong opinions. Sometimes they made people angry, sometimes they made people laugh, but they always got attention. Trump loved this direct way of speaking to the public. He used Twitter not only to speak his mind, but also to fight with people he didn't like. He criticized actors, journalists, politicians, and even other countries. This made him even more famous. Some people found his tweets rude and shocking. Others thought he was honest and brave for saying what he believed. Trump also appeared in movies and TV shows. He played small roles in films like Home Alone 2 and made guest appearances on talk shows. His name was everywhere, on buildings, water bottles, steaks, and even a university. Whether people liked him or not, they couldn't ignore him. He had turned himself into a brand. One of the most interesting parts of this time was how Trump learned to control his image. He was not a movie star or a singer, but he understood how to be seen like one. He used interviews, shows, and headlines to build a story about himself. He said things that were easy to remember, like "think big, you're fired," and "make America great again." These short phrases help people remember him. Trump also built connections with celebrities and politicians. He gave money to both Democratic and Republican leaders. He went to big events, award shows, and even spoke about political topics on TV. He was always thinking about the next step. Even before he ran for president, he often talked about politics. He said he could solve problems better than the people in office. He said America needed strong leadership and business thinking. During the presidency of Barack Obama, Trump became even louder in politics. He started a rumor that Obama was not born in the United States. This idea, known as the birther movement, made Trump popular with some people, but was also strongly criticized. Many called it racist and false. But Trump didn't stop. He had learned that making bold claims brought media attention. By 2011, Trump was openly talking about running for president. Many people didn't take him seriously. They thought it was a joke or a way to get more attention. But Trump kept saying America was losing in trade, in jobs, and in world respect. He said only someone strong, like him, could fix it. At first, it seemed like a TV stunt. But slowly, people started listening. Even while he was thinking about politics, Trump didn't stop being part of pop culture. He continued making news with his business, his family, and his comments. In 2015, NBC ended its relationship with him after he made harsh comments about Mexican immigrants. But Trump wasn't worried. He said he was ready for a bigger stage. He was ready to run for president. This period, his TV fame, media presence, and bold public style, changed how people saw Donald Trump. He was no longer just a businessman from New York. He was now someone with power, fans, and enemies. He had turned fame into a weapon and the media into a tool. Trump had mastered the art of attention. He knew how to be on camera, how to make people talk, and how to turn public opinion in his favor. This skill became one of his greatest strengths when he entered the world of politics. He didn't rise the way other politicians did. He didn't work in government or study law. Instead, he became famous, used that fame to shape opinions, and stepped into the biggest political stage with millions already watching. Part 3. Presidential Campaign and 2016 Victory. In June 2015, Donald Trump walked down the golden escalator at Trump Tower and stood in front of a crowd. He announced that he was running for President of the United States. Many people were surprised. Some laughed. Others thought it was just a publicity stunt. But Trump was serious. With bold words and a confident voice, he said, "I will make America great again." This phrase would soon become famous across the country. From the beginning, Trump's campaign was different. Most politicians use soft words and careful messages. Trump did not. He spoke in a simple, direct way. He said things that many people were thinking but were afraid to say. He talked about building a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border, stopping illegal immigration, and making better trade deals. He said other countries were taking advantage of America, and he would stop it. Trump also talked about jobs. He said factories were closing, people were losing work, and politicians were not doing enough. He promised to bring jobs back, especially to places where people felt forgotten. His message was clear: America first. Many working-class voters liked this. They felt someone was finally speaking for them. His speeches were loud, energetic, and often controversial. He made fun of other candidates, called out the media, and gave everyone a nickname. He called Jeb Bush low energy, Hillary Clinton crooked, and the press fake news. These names stuck. Even people who didn't support Trump started using his words. He controlled the news cycle by being bold and unpredictable. At first, most experts thought Trump wouldn't last. They believed voters would get tired of his style. But the opposite happened. Trump kept rising in the polls. He used social media, especially Twitter, to speak directly to people. He didn't need the news to spread his message. He did it himself, one tweet at a time. The Republican primary was full of strong candidates, senators, governors, and experienced leaders. But one by one, Trump beat them all. He won key states and gained more support. By mid-2016, he was the Republican nominee. It was a moment that shocked the world. A man with no political experience had defeated the Republican establishment. Now, he had to face Hillary Clinton in the general election. She had been First Lady, a senator, and Secretary of State. She had years of experience and strong support from many parts of the country. Most people thought she would win easily, but Trump believed he could surprise them. His campaign was full of rallies. Thousands of people came to hear him speak. He promised to protect American jobs, rebuild the military, and lower taxes. He said he would drain the swamp in Washington, remove the corrupt politicians, and give power back to the people. These ideas caught fire with many Americans. But the campaign was also filled with problems. Trump made several comments that upset people. He was accused of being rude to women, immigrants, and minorities. Old videos came out where he used bad language. Many newspapers and famous people said he was not fit to be president. Despite all this, Trump never changed his style. He said what he believed and didn't apologize much. His supporters liked that. They said he was strong, not fake. They believed he was not part of the system, and that's why they trusted him. The election day came on November 8, 2016. Most polls said Hillary Clinton would win. But as the results came in, things changed. Trump won many important states, especially in the Midwest. States like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which usually voted Democrat, went red for Trump. By the end of the night, the world was shocked again. Donald Trump had won the election. He had become the 45th president of the United States. He lost the popular vote by almost 3 million, but he won the Electoral College by a large margin. It was one of the biggest upsets in U.S. political history. People across the country had mixed feelings. Some celebrated with joy. Others cried in disbelief. Big protests started in many cities. Trump had not just won an election. He had divided the country in a way that hadn't been seen in years. In his victory speech, Trump said it was time to come together. He promised to be a president for all Americans. He said, "The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer." His message stayed the same. He was there to fight for regular people, not the elite. His rise from a businessman and TV star to the president was a modern American story. He had never held public office. He had no military or government background, but he used his fame, his bold style, and a strong message to connect with millions. Behind the scenes, many of his staff were also outsiders. Some had never worked in government before. Trump liked that. He believed people with business skills could run the country better than politicians. He was ready to shake things up. Even before he took office, the world began to watch closely. What kind of president would Trump be? Would he govern the same way he campaigned, with fast words and big promises? Or would he become more traditional? No one knew. But one thing was clear: Donald Trump had changed American politics. He had broken the rules, ignored the experts, and still won. His journey to the White House showed that in the age of social media and 24-hour news, anything was possible. He had proven that being famous, bold, and different could lead to the highest office in the land. Part 4. Trump's presidency: Power, Policies, and Controversies. On January 20th, 2017, Donald Trump took the oath of office and became the 45th president of the United States. He promised to make big changes. His slogan, "Make America Great Again," became the driving force behind his presidency. Trump was now in power, but his time in the White House was far from easy. One of his first actions was to focus on jobs. He believed that creating jobs was the key to fixing America's economy. During his first year in office, Trump worked to lower taxes. He signed a large tax reform bill into law, cutting taxes for businesses and individuals. He said this would help companies grow, create more jobs, and make the economy stronger. Trump also focused on the United States' relationships with other countries. One of his biggest actions was pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement. This agreement was a global effort to fight climate change. Many world leaders, including those in the U.S., agreed to it. But Trump said it hurt American workers and businesses. He argued that the U.S. should not be tied to an international agreement that he believed hurt the economy. This decision caused a lot of debate around the world. Another major decision Trump made was to increase military spending. He He wanted to strengthen the U.S. military and ensure that America was ready to face any threat. He also said NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, needed to do more to protect its members. Many leaders of NATO countries were not happy with this message, as Trump was pushing them to spend more on their own defense. Trade was another important issue during Trump's presidency. He argued that America was losing in trade deals with countries like China. In 2018, Trump started a trade war with China, placing taxes on imports on Chinese goods. China responded with tariffs of its own, and the two countries engaged in a long back and forth. Trump said this was necessary to protect American jobs and force China to play fair. Many people in the U.S. felt the impact of the trade war, as it led to higher prices for some goods. Trump's policies were often controversial, and his time in office was filled with disagreements. One of the most divisive issues was his stance on immigration. During his campaign, Trump promised to build a wall on the southern border of the U.S. to stop illegal immigration. While in office, he took steps to reduce the number of people entering the country illegally. His administration separated families at the border, which led to protests and criticism from human rights groups. Critics said the policy was cruel, while Trump argued that it was necessary to secure the border. Trump's response to the growing number of immigrants was just one example of how he handled controversy. Another major issue was his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. As the virus spread across the world, Trump downplayed its seriousness at first. He said it would go away on its own and that the U.S. was prepared. But as the death toll rose, his critics said he was not doing enough to protect people. He also disagreed with experts on how to handle the virus, leading to confusion among the American public. His decision to promote unproven treatments and to push for reopening the economy quickly also caused division. Another major controversy during his presidency was the impeachment process. In late 2019, the House of Representatives voted to impeach Trump on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. This was because of a phone call Trump had with the president of Ukraine. In the call, Trump asked Ukraine to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden, and his son. The Senate later acquitted Trump, meaning he was not removed from office. But the impeachment process caused more division between Republicans and Democrats, and it remained a hot topic for the rest of his time in office. Despite the many controversies, Trump's supporters remained loyal. They admired his outsider status and his willingness to challenge the political system. Trump's supporters also praised his policies on the economy, arguing that his tax cuts and job creation efforts helped the country. Many believed he was standing up for regular Americans who felt left behind by the political elite. Throughout his presidency, Trump's relationship with the media was tense. He called many news outlets fake news and often attacked reporters during press conferences. His relationship with the media was one of the most talked about aspects of his presidency. For Trump, it was all part of the game. He knew how to use the media to his advantage, even if it meant being criticized. His bold, often controversial statements kept him in the headlines. Trump's presidency was a time of great division. While his supporters saw him as a strong leader, critics saw him as dangerous and divisive. His presidency changed the way many Americans thought about politics. For some, it was a time of hope and change. For others, it was a time of fear and uncertainty. One of the most defining moments of Trump's presidency came in 2020. As the presidential election approached, Trump faced his toughest challenge yet. The country was still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the economy was struggling. Trump's challenger, Joe Biden, presented a very different vision for the country. The 2020 election became one of the most divisive in American history. On November 3, 2020, Americans went to the polls to choose their next president. The election was full of controversy, with Trump and his supporters claiming that the election was rigged and that there had been widespread voter fraud. Trump's claims were not supported by evidence, but the controversy added to the tense atmosphere in the country. In the end, Joe Biden won the election, but Trump did not accept the results. This would lead to even more controversy in the months to come. Part 5, 2020 election, final days in office, and the 2024 comeback. The 2020 presidential election was one of the most intense and divisive elections in American history. With a global pandemic affecting the country, the economy in turmoil, and political tensions high, President Donald Trump was facing off against former Vice President Joe Biden. As the election unfolded, Trump continued to push his America First message, promising to bring the country back to normal after the pandemic. Biden, on the other hand, campaigned on unity, health care, and a more cautious approach to the COVID-19 crisis. When the election results were finally certified, Biden was declared the winner, and Trump refused to concede. He claimed, without evidence, that the election was stolen, leading to a series of legal battles and public disputes. The tension reached its peak on January 6, 2021, when a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol, trying to stop Congress from certifying the results. The incident shocked the nation, and Trump was impeached for a second time, making history as the first president to be impeached twice. On January 20th, 2021, Joe Biden was inaugurated as the 46th president of the United States, marking the end of Trump's first term. For many, this was a moment of relief, a return to stability. But for Trump supporters, it was only the beginning of what they believed was an ongoing battle to make America great again. As the country looked toward the future, Trump's presence in American politics was far from over. Even though he had lost the 2020 election, his influence over the Republican Party remained strong. He continued to hold rallies, endorsing candidates who supported his vision and warning of the dangers of a Biden presidency. His grip on the Republican base only grew stronger as the years passed, and many began to speculate whether he would run for president again in 2024. In 2022, Trump hinted at a possible 2024 run, but remained focused on shaping the future of the Republican Party. He criticized President Biden's handling of key issues, such as the economy, immigration, and foreign policy. Trump's supporters, frustrated by Biden's leadership, increasingly called for his return to the White House. Meanwhile, other potential Republican contenders began to rise, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who gained significant popularity within the party. However, it became clear that Trump still held the key to winning the Republican nomination. In late 2022, Trump officially announced his bid for the 2024 election. His announcement sent shockwaves through the political world, as many wondered if America was ready for another Trump presidency. Despite facing legal challenges, including investigations into his role in the January 6 Capitol riot and his business dealings, Trump remained confident that he could win. The 2024 Republican primaries were heated, with Trump facing competition from several strong Republican figures. DeSantis, in particular, gained traction as a potential alternative to Trump. However, Trump's ability to command attention, his strong base of supporters, and his message of restoring America's greatness allowed him to stay in the spotlight. As the primaries progressed, it became clear that Trump was the dominant force in the Republican Party. In November 2024, the United States went to the polls once again. This time, Trump was running against incumbent President Joe Biden, who was seeking re-election. The race was fiercely contested, with both sides accusing each other of failing to address the nation's most pressing issues. Trump continued to focus on economic recovery, securing American borders, and pushing back against what he saw as the radical left's influence on the country. On election night, the results came in, and it became clear that Trump had won a hard-fought victory. His supporters celebrated as the returns showed that he had regained the presidency, making him the 47th president of the United States. The victory marked the end of Biden's term and the beginning of Trump's second presidency. Trump's victory in 2024 was seen as a triumph for his loyal base, who had never stopped believing in his vision for America. It was also a moment of redemption for the former president, who had spent the past few years fending off legal challenges and political attacks. Trump's return to power was a testament to his enduring influence in American politics. As Trump took office for his second term in January 2025, the country was divided. His supporters were overjoyed at his return, eager to see the implementation of his policies, while critics feared that his second presidency would be even more divisive than the first. The challenges facing Trump in his second term were immense, including a divided Congress, ongoing global tensions, and a nation that remained deeply polarized. For Trump, the 2024 election and his victory symbolized his enduring strength and appeal. His return to the White House was not just a personal triumph, but a reflection of the political landscape that he had helped shape. Whether his second term would fulfill his promises or face new obstacles remained to be seen, but one thing was certain. Trump was back, and his influence on American politics was far from over. Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 election and his return to the White House marked a significant moment in American history. After a contentious first term, numerous legal battles, and a polarizing 2020 loss, his political comeback demonstrated not only the power of his loyal base, but also the deep divisions in the country. His second term represents both a personal triumph and a continuing political saga that will likely shape the nation for years to come. While many celebrated his victory, others remained deeply skeptical, fearing that his return will only deepen the country's political divides. The challenges facing Trump in his second term are immense. The nation remains divided, with significant concerns over issues like the economy, national security, and the changing political landscape. As the 47th President of the United States, Trump now faces the task of uniting a fractured nation while delivering on the promises he made during his campaign. No matter what lies ahead, one thing is clear. Donald Trump has left an indelible mark on American politics. Whether you support him or not, his influence is undeniable. His story is far from over, and how he shapes the next chapter of American history will be a subject of much debate and scrutiny in the years to come. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Keep learning, keep growing, and one story at a time.